When the woman in the navy blue coat walked into my daughter's 30th birthday party, I felt something shift in the air. She didn't look like she belonged there. Too formal, too deliberate, scanning the crowd like she was searching for someone specific. When her eyes locked onto mine across the room, my stomach dropped. She walked straight toward me, weaving through the laughing guests, the balloon arches, the table overflowing with presents. Without saying a word, she pressed a folded piece of paper into my hand, squeezed my fingers once, a gesture that felt both urgent and sympathetic, and then disappeared back through the crowd before I could even ask her name. My hands trembled as I unfolded that note. The words I read there made my knees buckle. Everything I thought I knew about my family, about my daughter's life, about the past 30 years, it all crumbled in the time it took to read 3 devastating sentences. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Let me tell you how one stranger's courage at a birthday party revealed a truth that changed everything. My name is Diane Mercer. I'm 58 years old, a former nurse, now working part-time at a medical clinic while spending most of my energy being a mother and grandmother. My daughter, Lydia, just turned 30 last Saturday. She's a pharmaceutical sales representative, married to a man named Ryan who manages a chain of high-end fitness centers. They live in a beautiful home in Westchester with my 2 grandchildren, Emma, who's 5, and little Jack, who just turned 3. From the outside, Lydia's life looks perfect. Picture perfect, actually. Her Instagram is a carefully curated gallery of family photos, vacation snapshots, and inspirational quotes about gratitude and success. She hosts elaborate parties, always dressed impeccably, always smiling that bright, confident smile. But I'm her mother, and mothers know when something is wrong, even when their daughters are excellent at hiding it. For the past year, maybe longer, I'd noticed small things. The way Lydia's smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. How she'd flinch slightly when Ryan touched her shoulder. The expensive jewelry that appeared after arguments I wasn't supposed to know about. I'd learned to recognize the pattern. Fight, silence. Apology gift, repeat. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd shut me down immediately. Mom, everything is fine. Ryan works hard. I work hard. We're just stressed like every other couple. Stop reading problems into everything. So I stopped asking, but I never stopped watching. The birthday party was Lydia's idea. A big celebration at their house, inviting everyone, family, friends, Ryan's business associates, neighbors. She'd been planning it for weeks, obsessing over every detail. The caterer, the flowers, the photographer, the playlist. It had to be perfect. Everything in Lydia's life had to appear perfect. I arrived early to help set up, bringing the birthday cake I'd made myself. Lydia's favorite. Lemon raspberry with cream cheese frosting, the same cake I'd made for every one of her birthdays since she was 5. Ryan was there, playing the gracious host, schmoozing with his gym manager friends in the backyard. He barely acknowledged me when I came in, just a quick, "Hey, Diane," before turning back to his conversation. That was normal. Ryan had always treated me politely but distantly, like I was an obligation he tolerated for Lydia's sake. Lydia was in the kitchen, directing the caterers with the intensity of a general commanding troops. When she saw me with the cake, her face lit up. Genuinely lit up. For the first time in months. "Mom, you made it!" The cake. She hugged me, and I felt how thin she'd gotten. Her collarbone was sharp against my shoulder. "Of course I made it, sweetheart. It's tradition. Thank you," she whispered into my hair, "for always being here." Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. It sounded less like gratitude and more like goodbye. The party filled up quickly. By 7 p.m., there must have been 70 people crammed into the house and spilling into the backyard. Music played, champagne flowed, children ran around screaming with excitement. I watched Lydia move through the crowd, playing her role perfectly. The successful career woman, the devoted wife, the loving mother. She laughed at jokes, thanked people for gifts, posed for endless photos with Ryan's arm around her waist. But I saw the tension in her jaw, the way she kept touching her wedding ring, twisting it nervously, the glances toward the door, like she was expecting someone, or afraid someone might arrive. Around 8 p.m., I was in the dining room helping Emma reach the fruit platter when I noticed her. The woman in the navy blue coat. She'd just come in through the front door, though I hadn't seen anyone greet her or let her in. She wasn't dressed for a party, too somber, too professional. She looked to be in her early 40s with short dark hair and an expression that was both determined and deeply sad. She stood in the entryway, surveying the room methodically. When her gaze landed on me, she stopped, just stopped and stared, like she was confirming something she already knew. Then she started walking toward me. I felt Emma's small hand grip mine tighter. "Grandma, who's that lady?" "I don't know, sweetie." The woman approached with purpose, her eyes never leaving mine. Up close, I could see she'd been crying recently. Her eyes were slightly red, her makeup carefully reapplied, but not quite perfect. She stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something floral and expensive. "Mrs. Mercer?" Her voice was quiet but steady. "Yes? I'm sorry to intrude. My name is Lauren. I need you to read this." She pulled a folded piece of paper from her coat pocket. "Please, read it now while I'm here. You'll have questions, and I can answer them. But you need to know the truth." "I'm sorry. Do we know each other? Did Lydia invite you?" "Lydia doesn't know I'm here." "Please, Mrs. Mercer, read it." She pressed the paper into my hand, her fingers cold and shaking. Then she squeezed my hand once, a gesture that felt loaded with meaning, with sympathy, with shared pain. Before I could respond, before I could ask anything, she turned and walked quickly back toward the front door, disappearing into the crowd of guests. I stood there holding the folded paper, Emma still gripping my other hand, watching the spot where the woman had vanished. "Grandma, what did that lady give you?" "I don't know yet, honey. Why don't you go find your brother? I think Grandpa has some cookies for you both." Emma scampered off, and I moved into the hallway bathroom, locking the door behind me. My hands were shaking as I unfolded the paper. It was good stationery, expensive, with neat handwriting in blue ink. The words I read made the room spin. "Mrs. Mercer, my name is Lauren Hastings. I'm Ryan's wife. We've been married for 6 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter named Sophie. Until 3 weeks ago, I had no idea your daughter existed. I thought I was Ryan's only wife. I thought Sophie was his only child. I was wrong. Ryan has been living a double life. Please, for your daughter's sake and for mine, we need to talk. My number is below. I'll be parked across the street in a silver Honda. I'll wait for 30 minutes. I'm so sorry to tell you this way, but I didn't know how else to reach you without him knowing." Below the message was a phone number. I read it 3 times, my brain refusing to process the words. Ryan's wife. 6 years. A daughter. Double life. Impossible. This had to be a mistake or a sick joke or a delusional woman. Ryan and Lydia had been together for 8 years. They dated for 2 years before getting married. This woman was claiming she'd been married to Ryan for 6 years, which would mean he married her while he was already dating Lydia. My legs felt weak. I sat down on the closed toilet lid, still clutching the note. Through the bathroom door, I could hear the party continuing. Music, laughter, the sound of children playing. My granddaughter's laughter, my daughter's voice thanking someone for a gift. I thought about Lydia's face tonight, the sadness behind her smile, the weight loss, the nervous habits, the expensive apology jewelry. I thought about Ryan's distance, his smooth charm that always felt rehearsed, the business trips he took constantly, the separate phone he claimed was only for work. Oh, God. I stood up, splashed cold water on my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked old suddenly, haggard, the face of a woman whose world was about to collapse. I had 2 choices. I could crumple up this note, throw it away, go back to the party, and pretend I'd never seen it. Let Lydia continue in whatever reality she was living in, protect my grandchildren from the devastation that was coming. Or I could walk out that door, cross the street, and talk to the woman who claimed to be my son-in-law's other wife. I chose the truth. I've always chosen the truth, even when it hurt. I slipped out the front door during a particularly loud rendition of Happy Birthday. No one noticed me leave. Outside, the evening air was cool and sharp. Across the street, I saw the silver Honda, engine running, headlights on. I crossed the street on trembling legs and knocked on the passenger window. The woman, Lauren, unlocked the door immediately. I slid into the passenger seat, and we sat there for a moment in silence, two strangers connected by one man's lies. "Thank you for coming," she said finally. Her voice cracked slightly. "I wasn't sure you would." "Tell me everything," I said. "From the beginning." Lauren took a shaky breath and began. She'd met Ryan 6 years ago at a medical conference in Boston. He told her he was a fitness center manager, recently divorced, no kids. They dated long distance for 6 months. He was always flying to different cities for work, so the distance made sense. They got married in a small courthouse ceremony with just a few friends. Her family hadn't approved of the rushed marriage, but Lauren had been deeply in love. When their daughter Sophie was born 4 years ago, Ryan had been attentive, loving, present, but always with restrictions. His work schedule was erratic. He traveled constantly. He needed his own apartment in the city for late nights at the gym. She couldn't visit him at work unannounced because it would undermine his authority with employees. His phone was always password protected because of client confidentiality. Red flags Lauren had rationalized away because she loved him and wanted to believe him. 3 weeks ago, Lauren said, tears streaming down her face now, Sophie was in a car accident. Nothing serious, thank God, but she needed to go to the hospital. I called Ryan over and over. He didn't answer. For 6 hours, while my baby was in the emergency room, I couldn't reach my husband. When he finally called back, he said his phone had died during a board meeting. But I was frantic and angry, so I did something I'd never done before. I went to his gym, the flagship location in Westchester, to confront him. And, I prompted, though I already knew where this was going, he wasn't there. The manager said Ryan had taken the day off, a personal day. But when I checked my phone, I saw he'd texted me that morning saying he'd be at work all day. So I sat in my car outside the gym and I waited. 2 hours later, Ryan pulled up with a woman and 2 small children. "Lydia," I whispered. I didn't know her name yet. I watched them go into the gym together, Ryan's arm around her, laughing with those kids like they were his, like he was their father. I felt like I was losing my mind. I followed them. I took pictures. When they left, I followed Ryan's car back to a house I'd never seen before, a beautiful house in a nice neighborhood. He went inside with the woman and the children, like it was his home, like they were his family. "How did you find out her name?" "I hired a private investigator. Within 3 days, I had everything. Marriage certificate dated 2 months after ours. Birth certificates for Emma and Jack listing Ryan as the father. Your daughter's social media, her job, her life, everything. And Mrs. Mercer, she has no idea. The investigator found no evidence that Lydia knows about me or Sophie. She thinks she has a real marriage." I leaned back against the car seat, trying to breathe through the nausea. "Why are you telling me this? Why not just call the police or confront Ryan yourself?" "Because I have a daughter who loves her father. Because I thought about just destroying Ryan and walking away. But then I thought about your daughter, about Emma and Jack, about what this would do to the children if it all came out in the worst possible way. I thought," she paused, wiping her eyes, "I thought maybe if I told you first, we could find a way to protect the kids while still exposing the truth. I thought maybe a mother would know how to break this to her daughter more gently than a stranger could." I looked back at the house, lit up and full of people celebrating Lydia's birthday, celebrating a life built on lies. "Does Ryan know you're here?" "No. He thinks I'm visiting my sister in Connecticut this weekend. He has no idea I know about Lydia or that I've been gathering evidence." "Evidence?" Lauren reached into her purse and pulled out a thick manila envelope. "Everything. Marriage certificate, photos, bank statements showing him transferring money between accounts, text messages, medical records with Sophie's birth certificate listing him as father. I've documented everything. If he tries to deny it, I have proof." I took the envelope with shaking hands. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to tell your daughter the truth. Tonight, if possible. Because Mrs. Mercer, I'm filing for divorce on Monday. I'm filing a fraud report with the police. I'm exposing everything. And when I do, Ryan will try to control the narrative. He'll lie. He'll manipulate. I've watched him do it for 6 years. Your daughter needs to hear the truth from someone who loves her before he can poison her against everyone." I sat there holding evidence of my son-in-law's bigamy, looking at a woman I'd never met who was technically my daughter's, sister wife? The absurdity of it would have been funny if it wasn't so devastating. "How are you so calm?" I asked. "How are you not screaming?" "I screamed for 3 weeks," Lauren said quietly. "I broke everything in my house that wasn't essential. I cried until I couldn't breathe. But I have a daughter who's asking why mommy is sad. I have to be functional. And honestly, Mrs. Mercer, I'm angrier for your daughter than I am for myself. I'm a grown woman who should have seen the signs. But Lydia, she's been raising his children, building a life with him, trusting him completely. At least I only wasted 6 years. She's wasted more." I thought about Lydia in that kitchen, so thin, so tense, twisting her wedding ring nervously. Had she suspected something? Or had she been completely blindsided by a man who was living 2 entirely separate lives? "I need to go back inside," I said finally. "I need to think about how to do this." "Don't wait too long," Lauren warned. "I'm filing those papers Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, police will be investigating. If you want to tell her gently, you have about 48 hours. I got out of the car, clutching the envelope like a life raft. Lauren rolled down her window as I started to walk away. "Mrs. Mercer, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the one to destroy your daughter's life, but she deserves to know the truth." "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. "Thank you for having the courage to tell me." I walked back across the street, back into the house full of laughter and celebration, back into the beautiful illusion that was about to shatter into a million pieces. The party was winding down. Guests were leaving, thanking Lydia for a wonderful evening, hugging her goodbye. Ryan stood by the door playing the perfect host, shaking hands, making plans for golf games and business meetings. The children were exhausted, Emma asleep on the couch, Jack dozing in Ryan's arms. It all looked so normal, so perfect, so completely, devastatingly fake. I found Lydia in the kitchen, packing up leftover food. She smiled when she saw me, a real, genuine smile. "Mom, thank you so much for coming, for the cake, for everything." "Lydia, sweetheart, we need to talk." Something in my voice made her freeze. "Is everything okay? Are you feeling all right?" "I'm fine, but we need to talk, privately. Tomorrow morning. Can you come to my house? Just you." "Mom, you're scaring me." "What's wrong?" "Tomorrow," I insisted. "Please, come at 9. Don't bring the kids. Don't tell Ryan. Just come." She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw fear flicker across her face. She knew. Some part of her knew that whatever I was about to tell her would change everything. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, I'll come." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table reading through Lauren's evidence. Marriage certificates, birth certificates, bank statements showing Ryan maintaining 2 separate households. Photos of him with Sophie, a little girl who looked eerily like Emma. Same dark eyes, same dimpled smile. Text messages between Ryan and Lauren talking about their life together, their daughter, their future. And photos of Ryan with Lydia, Ryan with Emma and Jack, Ryan living 2 complete lives, switching between families like someone changing clothes. How had he managed it? The logistics alone were staggering. 2 wives, 3 children, 2 houses, 2 completely separate lives running simultaneously for 6 years. But as I read through everything, I started to see the pattern. The business trips that kept him away 3 or 4 nights a week, the separate phone for work, the separate apartment in the city that Lydia had never been allowed to visit, the erratic schedule that meant he was never reliably present in either household, the control over finances that kept both women from seeing the full picture. Ryan had built a prison of lies, and both women had been living in it without knowing the walls existed. At 8:45 the next morning, Lydia's car pulled into my driveway. I watched her walk to my door, moving slowly, like she was walking to her own execution. She knew. Maybe she didn't know the specifics, but she knew something terrible was coming. I let her in, and we sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd read Lauren's note last night, where I'd pored over evidence of her husband's betrayal. "Mom, please, you're terrifying me. What's going on?" I slid the manila envelope across the table. "Before you open this, I need you to know that I love you, that I'm here for you, that whatever you need, whatever happens next, you're not alone." Her hands shook as she opened the envelope. I watched her face as she read. Confusion first, then disbelief, then horror, then a kind of hollow devastation that broke my heart. She read every page, looked at every photo, studied every document. When she was done, she just sat there, staring at nothing, her face completely blank. Lydia? He has another wife, she said flatly, another daughter. He's been married to both of us at the same time. Yes. Emma and Jack have a half-sister. They've never met. Yes.